Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell, and welcome to another episode of Simply Nell's Tiny Studio. And today it is tea and conversation. I am drinking some delicious hyssop tea. What is hyssop? Well, hyssop is a flower, and what hyssop does is it helps to cleanse it helps to not only boost your immune system, but it is wonderful for the cardiovascular system. And being that I was born with heart disease, congenital heart disease, I have a heart murmur and a misshapen valve. I'm doing everything I can to promote good cardiovascular health. So I'm drinking hyssop tea to help cleanse my blood, not only to cleanse my blood, but to help stimulate circulation. I am not a medical doctor. I am certainly not a cardiologist, but I am an old crone. And I believe in the healing powers of crystals. I believe in the healing powers of herbs and flowers and vegetables and fruits, because I believe they were put here in this universe, on this planet, to not only bring us pleasure, but to sustain us. So that is why I am drinking some hyssop tea today. Tea and conversation. Thank you, Tiny Studio Assistant. Also, it is February. Happy Black History Month. Oh, the blackest month of the year. But listen, let me tell you this though, real quick. Any month that I am present, it's the blackest month of the year. And that's okay, because I am a beautiful Black woman, or as my mother used to say, or she still says, I'm a beautiful, beautiful brown girl, and that's all that counts. So, being that it is Black History Month, I want to tell you about what I am reading and suggest to you a book that you should have on your shelf. Yes, you should. And I also want to strongly urge you to buy Black. Now, buying Black is very significant. However, because we want to help Black businesses, we want to help our Black brothers and sisters who are entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur myself. I am a journalist. I am a book reviewer, a proofreader, anything that has to do with literature, English. I am all of that. But I am also a textile, fiber, and jewelry designer. So like you see these blankets back here? I sell I crochet blankets, I crochet lapgans, afghans, scarves, things of that nature by commission, and I sell them. Okay. Customers come to me, clients come to me, and they ask me to crochet a lapgan, an afghan, baby blanket, afghan for a heritage, and that's not what I want. Heirloom, a family heirloom. So I crochet those things, and that's my business. I also design and create jewelry. So right now I have on my custom earrings, and these are crystal quartz earrings. They are made of amethyst and rose quartz. So, I'm always protected by the universe, protected by God, or what other entity that you believe in, the ancestors, all of those things. Not only that, I am also wearing my Sassy Jones cowl. This is a Black-owned business, but let me just point this out real quick. When I speak of Black-owned businesses, or Black businesses and Black brands, I'm speaking of businesses that I ran or that were founded, created by Black individuals, Black Americans. They could be Jamaicans, they could be Haitian, they can be African, let's get specific, Ghanaian, they could be Kenyan, they could be from the Dominican Republic, Dominican, Puerto Rican. Buy Black, but you have to make sure that these businesses are still owned by the Black business owner. And that is how you support Black owned businesses and brands. This cowl that I'm wearing today is a Sassy Jones creation, baby. Sharice Jones has a company. She is a beautiful African-American sister. Her flagship store is in Richmond, Virginia, and she is the founder and designer of Sassy Jones. And this is a cowl that she designed maybe about a few seasons back, maybe about 5 or 6 seasons back. This is a cowl, a braided cowl. Isn't that cute? So I'm wearing that today because, you know, here's the thing. I'm not new to this, child. I'm true to this. I also have on jewelry designed and crafted by yours truly. If you are interested in custom made jewelry, and my jewelry are all crystal designed. Okay, if you're into crystals, then you're going to enjoy my jewelry because crystals are not only just beautiful, okay, but they are also spiritual. Okay, they're protective stones. So if you are interested in, or you would like to know more about my crystal jewelry, please hit me up at Blue Lotus Hill Designs. You can also send me an email to my email address is bluelotushilldesigns@outlook.com, and you can find me on social media at Blue Lotus Hill Designs, Instagram and Facebook, and Instagram and Facebook. And, you know, also, you know, go to Simply Nell's Tiny Studio and you will see all of my work there, and we can talk about some things that interest you and that you may be interested in purchasing. However, back to Black History Month. Oh, well, this is part of Black History Month, right? Yes. Another thing is, for Black History Month, I like to recommend a book to you that you may be interested in having in your library. Okay, and that book that I would like to recommend to you is from the father of Black History Month. And at the beginning, it was called Negro History Day. Then it went to Negro History Week, and soon Negro History Month. The great Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And here is his book called The Miseducation of the Negro. As you see, it's kind of worn. I bought this book almost 30 years ago. And I believe this book came out like in 1920 something. Let me find out. Yes, this book was first published in 1933. And then I bought this from the Africa World Press way back in the 90s. And here's a picture of Dr. Woodson. He was born in 1875 and he died in 1950. So this is Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month. But back in the day, it was known as Negro History Day, Negro History Week, and then it became Negro History Month. So that's Dr. Carter G. Woodson, historian, author, and educator. And I just love this book. I have read it maybe about 3 or 4 times, and I have it on the side of my bed because I am preparing to read it again for Black History Month. But I have notes in this book, and as you see, my son borrowed a book from me a couple of weeks ago, and he was reading through, and he was like, "Mom, I'm really enjoying this book, and what I really enjoy are the notes that you put in the margins." And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I like to put notes in the margins, especially when I read something that's really interesting and it hits me and it really touches me and I want to remember it, so I write a note about it. But anyhow, I want to read to you what this particular note said. And this is under the chapter Education Under Outside Control. And the name of the book, as I showed, is called The Miseducation of the Negro. And as we arrive at the eve of where 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald J. Trump, we're on the eve of his preparing to dismantle the Department of Education. And a lot of people are saying, well, this is a bad thing. this is a bad thing. Even I, your girl Nell, even I was saying that's a bad thing. But given the circumstances of how the Department of Education works and how the educational system is now here in Florida, and when we think about the public education system and the way it has taught African American students and students of other minorities, and especially our indigenous people, the way the public school system has worked really not to their benefit or our benefit, but basically to our detriment. The Department of Education, as it's formed right now in its current system, is really not beneficial to the to our Black and brown students or to our indigenous children. Not at all. The history behind the educational system, public educational system here in America, is just really bad. And what needs to be done is we need to start rethinking the educational system and the way that we really get into educating our children. And so this is something Carter G. Woodson had, was really, getting into or talking about with this book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And what I really marked, and as you see, I said yes to this particular thought that he had. I want to share that with you. Education under outside control, and how, as I said, the educational system here in America is really detrimental when you think about it to Black and brown students and indigenous students. And we have this conception that as Black people, that if we're not educated, then we're not accepted in white society. And on many levels, as far as with me becoming a doctor, PSYD in psychotherapy, of course, that being educated or going to, obtaining degrees is really important as far as being able to, do the research, to be able, in my field, to be able to have patients and clients and things of that nature. And in that way, having some type of credential and being studied or lettered is really important. But in the grand scheme of things, education, the education that we really need is education that's going to be helpful to our people. So this is something Dr. Woodson said in this paragraph, and I want to read it to you real quick. And I want you to think about it. And this is under the chapter, Education Under Outside Control. Now, listen to what Dr. Woodson said back in 1931, because I'm sure it took him about 2 or 3 years to write this book. It was published in 1933, but let's think about what his thought process was between 1930 and 1933. Okay, you listening? He says, those who take the position to the contrary have the idea that education is merely a process of imparting information. One who can give out these things or devise an easy plan for so doing, then, is an educator. In a sense, this is true, but it accounts for most of the troubles of the Negro. Real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to learn to begin with life as they find it and make it better. But the instruction so far given Negroes in colleges and universities has worked to the contrary. In most cases, such graduates have merely increased the number of malcontents who offer no program for changing the undesirable conditions about which they complain. One should rely upon protest only when it is supported by a constructive program. Now, it's so ironic that I would read this today, where we are really going through this thing or discussion as Black Americans about protesting. And in another video I created maybe about a week and a half ago about in response to Tabitha Brown and Target getting rid of the DEI, and the discussion about um, boycotting certain corporations and companies and stores that have decided to eliminate DEI from their programs. Dr. Woodson said back in the early 1930s that one should rely upon protests only when it is supported by a constructive program. Isn't that interesting? And that's what I was saying in my video. I was saying that we should protest after we have done certain things. And that's what makes a protest successful, when we have a game plan. Just saying that you're not going to shop at a store is not enough. And in the process, Black-owned brands who are inside of those stores, we need to give them the opportunity to pivot or take the steps needed in order to pivot. We need to let them know what we're going to do, so that they can move in a way that'll be substantial or sustainable to them and their brand. While doing that, we make demands, we negotiate, and if those plans and the negotiations fall through, then we go ahead and we protest. You have to have a strategy, and I think that's something that we as African Americans in the 21st century, something that we need to harken back and take lessons from our ancestors who did it and did it well. They were successful at it. They had a strategy, they had a plan. But Dr. Woodson says real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to learn to begin with life as they find it and make it better. That's what education, real education, is really about. Real education is about being in a position to inspire people to live their best lives. I thought that point was such a key point in my reading, The Miseducation. Well, one of the key points in reading The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. This is something that should be on your shelf. And yes, we don't call ourselves Negroes anymore. We don't do that. But, you know, on my birth certificate, it says Negro, so what am I gonna do? But anyhow, that's what's going on with Nell. What's going on in the news, child? Did you hear this latest stuff going on with Trump and what Trump was saying last night with his joint press conference with Israel's prime minister? He's not the prime minister. What is Netanyahu? I can never pronounce his name correctly. Please forgive me. But Netanyahu, is he the prime minister of Israel? Let me see. Let me look up his name. His name is Benjamin. Yes, he is the prime minister. Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. I'm looking at how it's spelled and I'm breaking it up into syllables. And last night, child, you know, people who don't think, they're liable to say anything, and you can't trust them, because a non-thinking person will say anything to anybody at any time, any place, anywhere. So Trump obviously is having and has been having ongoing conversations with the Prime Minister of Israel about Gaza. How do we know that? Well, we know this from 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald J. Trump's first presidency. We know, and we found out, that Jared Kushner, who is Ivanka Trump, Kushner's husband, we found out that he is part of a conglomerate or a company that wants to design condominiums or just wants to develop that Gaza Strip into condominiums, shops, a whole area for the rich and wealthy. We found that out during 47's 45th presidency. So here we are, 2 years almost deep into the war between Israel and Gaza. Here we are in the second term of 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald J. Trump's presidency. Here we are at a point in time where the war between Israel and Gaza right now is under a peace treaty. Right now, hostages are being exchanged. Well, I shouldn't be say exchanged, but hostages are being released from Gaza and or the Palestinians, and things are calming down a little bit. Now that things are calming, Netanyahu has been talking to Trump, and more than likely what they were talking about was taking over the Gaza Strip instead of not just taking over, but totally displacing the Palestinians that live there. And the discussions about turning the Gaza Strip into what Trump is calling a Mediterranean Riviera, the conversation that happened when Trump was first in office, those conversations have continued and escalated, especially since Israel has bombed the hell out of Gaza, period. And you know, when this was happening, you had to have the feeling that the way Israel was moving, that it was moving with an intention. Because the extent of damage that was caused to Gaza from the numerous thousands upon thousands of bombs that hit it, Palestinians would have to have a huge cachet of money to go back and rebuild. And what Trump proposed, what he said out loud to the press last night, should tell us all what Trump's real deal is about Gaza, what his plans really are. And when he mentioned that the United States was going to come in with troops, well, what he wanted to do was to have the U.S. come in with the military and take over the Gaza Strip and whatever other territories of Gaza that they wanted and turn it into a Mediterranean Riviera. I mean, that immediately made me think of Kushner and what his plans were, or what the people that back him, what their plans are for the Gaza Strip. And I remember looking at these so-called plans, brochure. I think there are brochures. A lot of people, of Jewish people, have them. Israelis have them, and the brochures are about how the Gaza Strip can, well, how condominiums and homes, luxury homes, and malls, look, upscale malls, and just what they want to do is they want to take it over. Israel wants to take over that whole area, but not just Israel, people with other interests, because as Trump said last night, he saw people from all over the world converging on the Gaza Strip and living there. So what he means is that people such as Elon Musk, people who are billionaires from globally, to come and invest in that area and to use that area as some type of vacation resort or zone like the French Riviera. And first of all, that plan sucks, even though it's been around for over 20 years, of turning the Gaza Strip into a Mediterranean Riviera, have it highly and overly developed, not for the Palestinian people, but have it developed for the rich and famous and infamous from around the world to converge whenever they would like, to buy up properties, to sell their wares, or for commerce, high-end commerce, and to turn it into a money-making machine. That is Trump's plan. And when he said it out loud the way that he did, Netanyahu looked at him like, dude, this is what we were talking about, behind closed doors. You're not supposed to be telling the American people, or how about telling the world about our secret plans? We're still developing this. But Trump kept talking, didn't he? You have to be careful dealing with stupid people. But what I don't see with the American people, I don't see the outrage in it. I don't see anyone out protesting this press conference. I don't see anybody coming out and saying, what a horrible idea. During the Biden administration, people were in the streets protesting about the war, protesting about protesting. That was going on. You had Palestinians that was protesting the bombing of Gaza, and then you had people, the Jewish segment of you had Jewish Americans who were protesting the fact that Palestinians were out protesting about what was going on in Israel. You had a lot of anti-Semitic things going on different college campuses around the country. You have so much happening. But with this particular news that Trump laid on us and the world last night, I don't see anybody protesting. I don't see anybody talking about it, how ridiculous it is, how repugnant it is, how horrible it is, but how much sense it makes that Benjamin Netanyahu bombed the hell out of Gaza, made it uninhabitable, bombed it to the point where Palestinians will need trillions of dollars to build it up, to make it livable again. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about how Trump and also his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, how there have always been plans, at least for the past 25 years, of building up Gaza and turning it into what Trump is calling it, a Mediterranean Riviera. And now that Netanyahu has laid the foundation by basically flattening the Gaza Strip, that makes it easier for someone like Trump and his homeboy Elon Musk to step in and to really start taking the steps to turn the Gaza Strip into a Mediterranean Riviera, as Trump, or 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald Trump said. And it's another episode of colonization, white American or white European colonization. It's another episode of that. It's another episode of gentrification. But this time, gentrification has gone global, if you know what I mean. And that's what happens here in the U.S. all the time. And it's been happening like that for years, where a white person, the white patriarchy, it could be local, state, or federal, sees a piece of land that does not belong to them, covet it, desire it, scheme, come up with plans, initiate those plans to take it by force. America, or the European descendants who are call themselves Americans, that has been their plan. This is the way they've operated since whatever ship you want to call it, what Plymouth Rock or whatever those ships were that came from Europe. They've been implementing this plan since what, 1400 or 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That has been their plan forever, to go into a land that doesn't belong to them, to systematically destroy the residents of that land, and then just take it over and implement whatever plan or scheme that they had going before they arrived. That's what Europeans and the descendants of Europeans have been doing. The colonizers have been doing for a very, very long time. And then displace, either by genocide, flat out murder, war, whatever it may be. Clear the people away, clear the people off the land, and then gentrify it, colonize it. And I use the word gentrify because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to kill up everybody. There's still going to be some people left. And what happens is those people become marginalized. They become relegated to a very, very tiny section of what's being colonized or gentrified. And then they have to live and move amongst people who have basically stolen their land. And then sometimes they are eventually forced totally off the land. That's how gentrification works. And this is what's going to happen to Gaza or the Gaza Strip if Trump has his way. If his son-in-law and his son-in-law's investors have their way. If different Jewish or Israeli organizations have their way. That is what's going to happen to the Gaza Strip. There are already brochures showing what the Gaza Strip could look like if it was taken over by Israel, if it was taken over by different entities that Trump knows about. So think of this. Think of it like this. Trump may not be able to get Congress to back this. He may not be able to get Congress to be able to send. He may not be able to get the approval to have troops move in to totally level, corner off, and secure the Gaza Strip. He may not be able to get away with that. However, those plans are still developing and just may happen because that fool decided to make it public that him and Netanyahu, were talking about it, clearly discussing it. And now that Elon Musk is hanging around with this department called DOGE, he's infiltrated the Department of Treasury. He knows where the money resides here in the United States. There's no telling. And with Trump now laying off thousands upon thousands of federal workers, that's going to free up money. And where do you think this new cachet of money is more likely going to go? It's going to go into any nefarious plan that Trump has, or that Elon Musk has, any plans that they may have, that's where all that freed up money is going to go. Because you definitely, you know that Trump is not going to use his own money. I mean, everybody knows that. Why should I use my money when I can use yours? I can keep my money. I can continue to stack my money. So why should I use mine when I can use the American government's money? I can use the American people's money. I can use the taxpayers of the United States of America to go ahead with my plan to take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into a Mediterranean wonderland, where the rich, famous, and infamous, powerful, where they can converge and have a good time frolicking on the beaches of the Red Sea, the Dead Sea. That's what's happening in America today. And I don't hear anyone upset about it. I know I can't be the only person upset. I know there's got to be a lot of other people that's thinking about this as well. And if we don't do something, if we as a people do not sit back and say something about this, it's going to happen. Trump has 4 years to get it done. And let me tell you, he knows he only has maybe 4 years. And actually, he really only has 2. But now the way he has it positioned, where all of his minions are in key areas of the United States government, or will be, he might have a little longer. Okay? I mean, for everyone who thought that Project 2025 was just, some bullshit. I'm thinking he's going to implement at least 70% of it, because he's already implemented a good chunk of it, child. A really good chunk of it. And I'm guessing that most people who are not educated and who only watch one news channel, get one train of thought for one group of people instead of doing the research themselves, they're going to be in for a rude awakening, especially people who are minorities who decided to vote for Trump. Because now, along with the rest of us, you're going to have to reap the rewards of what you purchased, of what you voted for. And the rewards are going to be very painful. Because he did say 45, now 47, 34 time convicted felon Donald Trump. He did say that we were going to be in pain. That's what he said. He said we're going to feel some pain. And for me, I don't like pain. I never vote for pain. That's why I voted for Kamala. I don't want any pain. I don't want no anxiety. I don't want to be stressed out about, whether or not I'm going to be able to continue to get my education. I don't want to be stressed out about that. I just don't want to. I don't want to be stressed out about that at all. I don't want to be stressed out about whether or not my daughter is going to be able, when she decides to, continue her education. I don't want her to be worried about whether or not she'll be able to receive a Pell Grant or not. I don't want that. I don't want her to worry about that. But, we at that point where it looked like Dr. Nell, it looked like I'm going to be paying for her education out of my pocket, and then she's going to be working really hard too. That's what it means. And, I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it, but that's what it means. That's what it means. All right, then. Well, I'm going to hop off the line with you guys today. I'm going to move on and do some other things. But remember, my recommendation for the week, Happy Black History Month, a book that you should have in your library is The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He wrote it in 1933, and he is the father of Black History Month. Back in the 20s and 30s, it was known as Black history, it was known as Negro History Day. Then it became Negro History Week, and soon it was Negro History Month or Black History Month. There he is, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. The Miseducation of the Negro should be a book on your shelf. All right, I am out of here. I'm your girl Nell. Please do not hesitate to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and please think about becoming a sustainable member of the Tiny Studio. I will see you next time here. I'm your girl Nell. I'll see you later.